And just like that, Season 2, Episode 1 began on the 22nd of June of 2023. So you guys, my name is Dacob. Welcome to Totally Dacob. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and like content like this, and thumb up the video. Listen, we've left off Season 1. Carrie's kissing her producer dude from the And Just Like That podcast on the radio station in an elevator. What's going to happen next? Well, and just like that, Season 2 began, and it opens up in a very cute way. We get Elton John and we get Britney Spears singing the hit single of last summer, as we get to see all of these characters, all the main female characters, pop up from either their bathrooms in their respective homes or apartments, or wherever they are at the moment when they were caught in the action. And oh, by the way, from here on out, spoiler alert, full of spoilers, okay? If you haven't watched the show yet, go watch it and then come right back. Grab a snack and let's talk. It's a really beautiful beginning. I found it soft and smooth. We got Britney Spears' voice, we got Elton John's voice, and they're kind of singing to us. And as they're doing that, every character is in their best shape, ready to go to bed with their better halves. So, you know, we get Charlotte ready to go to bed with her hubby. And then they have an encounter moment, and we get to see it on, you know, it's HBO after all, so they show whatever they want to show. You know, and then then we got Lisa here. She is with her hubby right up there. Lisa also is ready to go at it full force. Then we get that to see that scene, and then they're copulating as well. Then we also Seema is still dating her dude from Season 1 that owns several clubs in the city, who was also the actor who acted the Prada sales associate in the original Sex and the City, but he's now a totally different character in And Just Like That. So they're still apparently together. One doth wonder for how long. Then we got Miranda is together with Che, and in LA, they've moved to LA because Che is now working on their show, Che Pasa, about their life. Che Pasa is a word game, and actually spelled Q-U-E. Pasa would mean que pasa. Que pasa means what's up, what's happening. But they spelled it differently, Che, as the name of Che, and then it turned into Che Pasa. I mean, I know, terrible. But I hope that the writers used that on purpose to make it be cringe, because I think they're setting up Che to not want to do this show after all. But we're going to get there. The only issue we're having is with Naya, Dr. Naya, because Dr. Naya is alone. Her husband, who's a musician, who wants to have a baby, but in Season 1, we've seen that Dr. Naya could not. He's traveling somewhere. He's on tour, I guess. He's in some hotel somewhere. And so Dr. Naya is kind of, well, let's just say her sexcapade is with her and herself in the opening scene. Let's just leave it at that. Now, so it's kind of cool. Like, some people might say, oh, it's a little bit cringe that Season 2 begins that way. But I thought it was a beautiful way of introducing these characters. It gives us a little bit of a healthy Sex and the City vibe. Why am I saying this? Because first of all, it's music in the background. We don't have that silence that was so kind of deafening to me in Season 1. If you guys remember, Season 1 was quite... The audio mixing was not the best in Season 1. You know, first of all, we lost Carrie's overlapping voiceover throughout every episode, which is something she used to do in the original Sex and the City. Now she doesn't do that anymore, so we don't hear her. And I still miss that narrative narrating voice of Carrie Bradshaw. She does say something at the end of every episode. Only at the end of an episode, when the episode is about to end, she says, like, and just like that. And then she adds something to, and just like that, I knew hope again. Or, and just like that, I was blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But I miss that. And then also there's a lot of silence throughout the show. They don't really mix audio. They don't add a lot of music. They don't add a lot of external sounds. So it's very much, echoey, the audio, especially when we are confronted with Charlotte. Every time, notice this, every time we have a scene of Charlotte in her home with Harry, with her hubby, when Charlotte and Harry are together in their house, there's always this weird, uncomfortable silence in just the atmospheric audio of the space. And whenever Charlotte talks, there's a slight echo. It's almost like they're in a cave talking every time. So it's very bizarre. I don't know why they're doing that. But alas, it is what it is. Now I'm having the feeling it's a little bit less so, like it wasn't, as opposed to season 1. They began with music. They began with a blast. Love the song. Love Britney. And action begins, and it begins with them being their best selves. They're not depressed. There's no passing of anybody. Everybody's alive. Everybody's well. And I love that vibe. I love the positivity. Because season 1 began, with the lockdown, with the pandemic just ending. Everybody's like still scared to be out with other people. Then Mr. Big kicks the bucket, and it was just all so heavy. Now it's a little bit more lighthearted. Carrie is dating. I forgot to mention, right? Carrie walks through her walk-through closet at the beginning of her scene, from the bathroom into the bedroom, and who's waiting for her in the bedroom? It's her producer dude from Argentina. I think he's Argentinian. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the producer of And Just Like That, the podcast on the radio station, is now her little Thursday fling. We find out right away that Carrie and he meet up every Thursday. Why? Because Carrie has her podcast every Thursday, the Sex and the City podcast on the radio. And then after the podcast recording every Thursday, them two go to her place and do a little, fidget the digit. And we'll go. And then they fidget the digit. And then he watches cooking shows on YouTube. We'll go. I found that really cute. Actually, I love when Sex and the City adds these little writing moments. It's adorable. So they've just had their little fidgeting the digiting, and then he's like with a laptop watching a cooking show. And Carrie's like, "Your cooking show? All right." He's like, "Yeah, it relaxes me. I like to watch a cooking show." I mean, listen, those little details make it super cute for me. I also love to watch like stuff like that. It calms me down. There's like channels on YouTube that I watch that like have nothing to do with my usual interests, but I just watch them if the content creator has a particularly soothing and nice voice, or because the topic is just relaxing for me. Like we all have that when we're in bed at night, just leave something on and you fall asleep to it. At least that's me. And just like that, I fell asleep to another true crime podcast. Well, that's Dacob for you. I am that weirdo. But anyway, how do you, Dacob, says Gloria? Yeah. Zara Justina, yes, I am in Carrie's apartment, darling. The AI version of it from a parallel universe. Just Like That is a parallel universe TV show. So, let me blend out the photo for a second so you get to see the digital. I asked Bubbles, my AI bot for my channel, to generate from AI memory the apartment of Carrie Bradshaw. So obviously it's not the apartment of Carrie Bradshaw. But you see, Zara, you thought it was, because it has something, right? It has, let me move to the side so you can see. It has something of it. Maybe it's the sun coming through here and that kind of armchair, the warmth of the light. It gives us Carrie Bradshaw apartment vibes, even though it's obviously not. But anyway, interesting that you thought it was, because I was going for that vibe. Okay, let me blend in back the photo. Oh, thank you, Louie. I'm going to take that as a compliment. Louie says, I fell asleep with your voice sometimes. You make me fall asleep. Haha. I'm going to take that as a compliment. Not that you're just saying that I'm like boring. But hey, we'll go. So anyway... Franklin. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Bible. Bible says her fling is called Franklin. Her producer's name is Franklin. So he's watching the cooking show, and I thought that was really cute. But so basically, the whole episode revolves around one topic, very light topic, nothing heavy. I think the writers really got the memo. I think the writers got the memo to make the first episode light and easy. Why? Because the first episode of season 1 was the heaviest ever, because Mr. Big passes away in episode 1. It's a very heavy episode, and it sets the tone for the entire season. Pardon me. So season 2, episode 1 is the opposite. It's literally the most superficial and lighthearted you could get. You start with sex, and then it continues with, what's the theme of the episode? The theme of the episode is the Met Ball. Yeah. So all the ladies, all the main characters and side characters are invited to the Met Ball. So basically they spend the entire episode thinking about what they're going to wear to the Met Ball. And of course we have our gay character, Anthony, who is the comedic relief of this episode. Well, together with Miranda, because Miranda, she's a hoot. She's so funny. Cynthia Nixon, she is the comedy genius of the show. Like, she's just funny. Che is supposed to be the stand-up comedian. They're still together, by the way, at the beginning of the show. But Miranda delivers the comedic. Anyway, but Anthony is invited to be Charlotte's +1 at the Met Ball. However, Charlotte finds out through her daughter and her gender non-conforming child from Rock. It's hard to, I don't want to make mistakes. So that actually Harry, her hubby, thinks he's invited as Charlotte's +1 to the Met Ball. But Charlotte invited her best friend Anthony as her +1 because she thought her husband doesn't want to go to the Met Ball. However, Harry thinks he is invited. And he's very excited to go to the Met Ball because he wants to get his photo taken on the red carpet. He wants to meet Rihanna. Yeah, I know. Rihanna. That's what he says. He's like happy to meet Rihanna. Charlotte can't figure out why does he really want to go. So she has to uninvite Anthony. Anthony's upset with Charlotte because he was invited by Charlotte. And then Charlotte says, sorry, Harry wants to go and I can't say no to my husband. Now, all of this is happening as Anthony is telling a story of like how he's so mature. He is totally fine with, going on a grinder date, arriving to the apartment of the dude. And then he's telling a story of like, yeah, I'm totally used to it. I go in, the guy's looking at me, I start blowing or whatever. And he's like, you know what? I'm not feeling it. And then he says, I'm so mature now, I don't even care. I just end up like, you're not feeling it? Okay, fine, bye. Next. So he's kind of telling the ladies that he is, rejection doesn't matter to him. There's the next guy waiting in line. And that's when Charlotte says, oh, good. Well, I'm rejecting you to the Met Ball because my hubby wants to go instead. And then he's like, no. And she's like, well, that's how it goes. But the funny comedic moment of all of this is as he was blowing the dude on his back, somebody did like poke, 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 poke. And he's like, looks up and the guy's like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. And that's in that moment, Charlotte pokes at him, said, poke, 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 poke. He's like, what? She's like, yeah, you can't come to the Met Ball. My hubby has to go instead. He's like, why? Harry doesn't even want to go. She's like, I don't know. So anyway, there's that whole comedic thing happening. And then, but then in that moment, Carrie says, you can be my +1. Because Seema was supposed to be Carrie's +1. But she said no for some reason. I forgot now. What was the reason? I don't know. She had some reason she had to cancel. So because she cancels on Carrie, Carrie says to Anthony, you can be my +1. Now, a couple of scenes later, Seema says, oh, you know what? No, I am coming after all. So Carrie then calls Anthony and says, poke, 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 poke. And Anthony's like, you are not uninviting me to the Met Ball. She's like, yes, I am. Seema is coming after all. Oh, thank you, Bible. Bible says Seema was about to meet her boyfriend's son. So she's like, right, thank you so much. Yes, that's actually an important thing. So Seema was about to meet her boyfriend's son, the boyfriend who owns the clubs, who used to be the Prada salesperson as a different character in the original series. So Seema was about to meet the son of the dude she's dating, so she thinks it's a really important thing. However, when she goes to the meeting with the guy and the son, she meets also the guy's ex-wife. Or so she thinks. As he goes to the loo with the son, Seema is left with the ex. And the ex tells her, oh, he still lives with me. Actually, this morning we just had breakfast together. So, of course, Seema freaks out, obviously. So when he comes back with his son to the table for lunch, she's like, Baba, 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 Baba. She stands up, she leaves, and she goes outside. Her chauffeur is waiting for her. She calls Carrie, says, I'm back in, bitch. I wants to go to the Met Ball. So then Carrie calls Anthony, says, Anthony, you're uninvited. Anthony's super angry. There's this whole kind of funny thing. And then, but by then, Charlotte is leaving her house with Harry. They're already dressed. So the theme of the Met Ball in that episode, at least, was veiled beauty or hidden beauty. I think it was veiled beauty. For the love of me, y'all, I don't understand what the costume designers were thinking when they dressed up Charlotte's character. Like, she was dressed up like a circus dominatrix, like a ringmaster of the circus, but also like a dominatrix. I was like, how's that veiled beauty? I don't get it. But hey, we'll go. And he's also dressed up like a ringmaster of the circus in a way. I really... It went past my, I don't know why. But anyway, so while they're exiting their their building, Charlotte tells Harry, I don't know why you're coming. And he's like, I got Rihanna, photos on the red carpet. She's like, oh no, honey, we're not that famous. We're not allowed to walk the red carpet. We can access from the side entrance, like, the paying guests, blah, 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 that are not famous. We can have the dinner inside of the Met Ball. But we don't get to meet all the stars, to take photos with the stars. We don't get to walk the red carpet. And then he says, oh, then I don't want to go. If I'm not going to meet Rihanna, I don't want to go. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. He's gone. Now, Charlotte, dressed up as a dominatrix from the circus, she's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So she calls Anthony again and says, Anthony, you're back in. Anthony's in his underwear at home, but he's like, okay. I was upset, but whatever. He rushes off to get dressed and goes to the Met Ball. So there's that he's that gay comedic relief that we know him to be from the original show. He's back at it again. And quite frankly, it was okay. We'll go. Now, Carrie has an issue. As you can see, she's dressed in this floral accord, groundbreaking. But so she needs to be the most fashionable one of all of them. Now, there's one more character here that you do not see. She met him during season 1. He was working also at the radio station with her, and what's his name? Does anybody know in the chat? I forgot his name now. His wife, I think they're married in the show. It's not just his girlfriend, it's his wife. She's a costume designer or a fashion designer. And Carrie is still known and just like that as like a fashion icon and a columnist icon. Oh, Jackie and his wife Snow. Thank you, Bible. Thank you so much. So Jackie becomes Carrie's friend in season 1, and his wife, Snow, is the fashion designer. And Carrie says, you know what? I love what you're doing. You're an up-and-coming designer. You're still relatively unknown on the scene. So I want your debut to be with me for the Met Ball. And Snow is super honored, and she says, oh my gosh, I really want to do it. Oh, Snow or Smoke, something like that. It says Bible. Either Snow or Smoke. Yeah, I don't remember. Something with an S. So anyway, on the day of the Met Ball, Jackie comes with his wife to Carrie's apartment. The dress is not finished yet. So you can imagine Carrie, she freaked out. Jackie's wife says, sorry, the seamstress that was supposed to put the dress together, she got the stomach flu. And Carrie said, isn't there another seamstress then? Then Jackie says, no, there's a flu running around, a seamstress flu. And I was like, is that supposed to be a joke? If it was supposed to be a joke, somebody explain it to me, because it was like a seamstress flu. What gives? Didn't find it funny. Anyway, so then Jackie's wife says, I'll put the dress together for you. We got 6 hours to go. I can make it happen. Of course, it never happens. The dress is tragically unfinished, but the cape of the dress is ready. The cape was ready from the get-go. The thing that was not ready was the dress. Carrie's hair and makeup arrives, and they do her makeup and her hair. And she needs to leave for the Met Ball. The dress isn't finished. So then she says, I might just have something in my teeny tiny closet. And everybody, and I know what's coming, right? The Vivienne Westwood wedding dress that she wore when she was supposed to get married to Mr. Big, with the bird in her hair, with the feather bird in her hair. And then like she throws all the flowers at him and gets super upset when it doesn't happen. The wedding. So that famous dress, which was in, by the way, that's one of the rare dresses that Sarah Jessica Parker does not own. That was made by Vivienne Westwood Couture, bridal. It was lended to them for the show, for Sex and the City, and the movie. The show. The show or the movie? I can't remember anymore. Was it like the first movie, or was it the end of season 6? Either way, that dress was hanging for the longest time in the Vivienne Westwood New York boutique. And you could request to see it, and they would show it to you. Then the dress was sent back to London to the Vivienne Westwood archives. So for them to get, and mind you, Sarah Jessica Parker owns almost all of the dresses and outfits in her archive storage unit from Sex and the City, but not that dress. So they had to go through a lot of work to get that dress from Vivienne Westwood, to borrow it again for the show. And they got the dress. And so, but the dress is ginormous, but Carrie's closet is teeny tiny. You're like, you know what I mean? She's like, oh, maybe there is a dress I could wear. And like, she pulls out this huge thing. I'm like, this huge dress occupies the entire closet. In fact, that's why we don't see her pull the dress from the closet. What we do see her do is just open the box in which the headpiece with the bird is in. So she takes the bird piece out. The next cut to scene of her going down her famous staircase in New York, dressed in the Vivienne Westwood bridal attire with the dead bird in her head and the blue cape from Jackie's wife. She looks gorgeous. The hair, we'll go. We've seen her do better hair, but it is what it is. And she goes down the staircase. Now, I was thinking that we're going to get to see a bit more of the dress. But you guys, I kid you not, we literally see her go down the staircase, about to cross the street, cut over. And then she says, and just like that, I learned to live with my pain, or something like that, because that dress was painful for her because of the memory, but then she wore it again and gave it new meaning. But we literally see her wear the dress 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then it's over. And I'm like, wow, they really went through hoops to get that dress for the show, and she wears it for 10 seconds? What gives, girl? I thought it was a missed opportunity. Also, we do not get to see the ladies meet together at the Met Ball. That was also so sad to me. Now, Lisa, she's of course gorgeous. She, is like super rich, has all the fashion in the world. There's a lot of fidgeting. There's a lot of fidgeting going on between Lisa and her hubby. So throughout the entire episode 1, and I think 2, so they're kind of, in the middle of something, and she needs to get dressed, and she's wearing Valentino Couture. Similar dress, just different colorway to what Naomi Campbell wore a couple of months back. She wore it in pink with a huge feather piece all over her head, and you just saw Naomi Campbell almost bumping into stuff because she didn't see where she was. Well, it was hilarious. But she wore the red version of that dress, and they had to walk to the Met Ball because they couldn't get a car big enough for her headpiece to go in. So she's dressed in that red Valentino dress with a huge feather piece on her head. Yeah, we got the dominatrix circus look, and then we got the Vivienne Westwood bridal attire. Seema was wearing, I think, this colorway. She's always in these natural muted tones. It was a beautiful dress, but quite, I want to say, serious and conservative. Considering that it's the Met Ball, you could have pushed it a bit more. She did have a headpiece as well, but nothing major. Now, that's the end of the episode, but they never meet at the Met Ball. And I was waiting this whole build-up. Yes, the bird fascinator, Gloria. I was waiting for this. They were building it up. They're going to the Met Ball, going to the Met Ball. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so beautiful. Episode 1 is going to end with them meeting everybody arrives, Lisa arrives on foot because, she couldn't get a car, so you see her walk in and she's like, tired, but super happy to meet her friends. And they all meet together, and Carrie's with her wedding dress, and they all meet. And then they're sent through the side entrance because they can't access the main red carpet. But so it could have been like a comedic moment of like a wah, wah, wah. But us fans and watchers, we would have had a moment with these characters, like a bonding moment of like, we're all going together to the Met Ball through the side door. Like, we're going to sneak in and we're going to see what's happening. That bonding moment would have been so cool to implement, but they didn't. They never show the girls coming together for the Met Ball. And I thought that was a major missed opportunity for this episode. On another note, Miranda and Che are having a situation where we're going to see more of this instance of Miranda kind of being, well, she's very naked throughout the whole show. Well, the 2 episodes. She's basically Che's guest in LA because Miranda doesn't have a life in LA. She doesn't know what to do in LA, right? So she goes into the sensory deprivation tank to float, calm herself down. Doesn't really work. Then she gets locked inside of the tank and wants to come out and pushes open. And then she's butt naked, wiggling her way out. And I'm like, you know what? More power to you, girl. Cynthia Nixon is not afraid. She gave me Betty Davis vibes, you guys. Like, she was ready to go full on body in the most uncomfortable position as she's kind of falling out of the sensory deprivation tank, jiggling and wiggling and everything. And she went for it. And I really respect her for that. Like, she was not afraid to show imperfection. And that's perfection. So for everybody, there's a lot of people coming for Cynthia Nixon saying, oh, she's over the top. Her acting is too loud. She still hasn't got a hold of it. She's like too much of a comedian. And I'm like, no, she knows exactly what she's doing. She is making a caricature of herself because she's lost. She doesn't know where she stands yet, I mean, not Cynthia Nixon, Miranda, her character. And she's trying so hard to fit into this new world, but she still feels out of place. And her acting is great, in my opinion. She's funny, Cynthia Nixon. She's funny. She's not afraid to show herself in the most ugly of ways. I don't mean by body. By ugly, I mean uncomfortable. Like, being hysterical in the way that she laughs about things, or being pushed away by Che and not knowing how to react to that. And, these are ugly situations that she's in, but she's not afraid to go there. And Cynthia Nixon is an executive producer. So she has the power to say, hey, let's not do it like this. I want my character to not do that. And instead, it seems like whatever they give her to do, for the most part, she says, okay, I'll do it. And I have a lot of respect for her for doing that. Franklin, who is Carrie's dude from the podcast, he says, well, we're meeting, Thursdays after the podcast for a little, fidget the digit, but how about we meet on a Tuesday for a little rendezvous on a rooftop, some, I don't know, concert, something. Oh no, a presentation or a launch of some drink. She says yes, but she doesn't want to because she's not ready to commit to more than just fidget the digit on a Thursday with Franklin. So weirdly, she has a phone call with Che about this. Why not call Samantha about this? Why not call Miranda? Why not call Charlotte? Why call Che? Well, Che is in the bedroom with Miranda as Carrie's calling. Miranda is trying to put on a harness, and the harness has a, well, thing attached to it that we cannot say on YouTube. But let me utilize this utensil to show. This is a perfume, by the way. I'm wearing this perfume today. It's my favorite for summer at the moment. Moschino's Cheap and Chic. Yes, this is the silhouette of olive oil, Popeye's olive oil. But you catch my drift. Something similar to this shape was attached to the bottom of the harness. Miranda is trying to put, by the way, we'll go. Oh, let's freshen up a little. Living. So anyway, where was I? So she's trying to put on the thing on her harness and feels uncomfortable about it because, well, she hears Che talking to Carrie. And kind of the gist of the story is, hey, some relationships are just sex. Nothing more than that. Nothing deeper than that. Miranda in that moment felt like she is nothing more than just a sexual pleasure for Che. And like, she felt like Che doesn't want to know anything about her except for just having fun sexually with her. So she takes the harness off and doesn't want to have the sex anymore. And that's that. So, Bible says, since Che used to work with Franklin at the podcast, Carrie wanted more of an inside scoop on Franklin. Well, did she though? Because in that conversation, Che told her, I don't know, it was a weird conversation because it almost felt like Carrie was asking Che an update on how dating works nowadays. Like, she's like, so, like, you know, I'm usually play a little bit with the guy, like, and Che's like, no, be direct. Don't waste his time. If you're not interested, say you're not interested. He can handle that. What he can't handle if you kind of lead him along. And I'm like, but that's kind of, isn't that the rule for everyone? Shouldn't you be just nice and kind to everyone that way? And Carrie's like, oh yeah, maybe I should be honest with him. I mean, you guys, Carrie to me is still like the, it's my least liked character. Let's just put it that way. Carrie to me is always like, what gives, girl? What gives? So anyway, end of episode 1. They're at the Met Ball, but we don't get to see them at the Met Ball. End scene. Subscribe, thumb up this video if you liked it, and jump right on to episode 2. We're going to review it straight away, you guys. Thank you so much. Thumb up, subscribe. Bye. Let me know your thoughts down below too. Mwah.